Testing, 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 testing. Okay, I wanted to make this video to go over some of the things that we have talked about and just make sure that I could be more, or I wanted a way that I could be more clear, and I think this is the best way. I think you understand everything that we've been talking about, but I'm just going to go through. I didn't preview this. I'm just going to walk through the last, well, this starts April 16th because the arrow indicators do not go back farther than this, and I can't extend it the time, so I'm kind of limited by the last, I don't know, 5 days here or so. So you see on my chart here, I have the matrix, I have the FXI pivots, pretty clear, which haven't been which I know you haven't added in yet in these arrows. Um, you'll notice that the arrows do, sometimes they are a little late, sometimes they don't appear at all. Often they are right on. Um, I guess I'll talk about those later. Sometime I'm just kind of looking to see here. Well, here's one that appears not at all by any time. So well, I guess I'll talk about the arrows. What I was hoping for with the arrows is that, well, so this one, so say an arrow happens exactly at a signal, or a 4-bar, yeah, we'll just call this will always be a signal when these line up. When it appears right at the same time, it um, should take that trade right, like just like normal. However, if it comes, let's get an example. Say there's an arrow here, but it's not a full signal. But then the next bar, the signal happens. That's when it should take the trade. If there's an arrow, say right here, obviously these are examples of bad trades, but here is another arrow. We wouldn't want it to take the trade till the signal here. With this one, it would take the trade right on. What else here? That one would be right on. That one would be right on. That would be right on. That would be right on. So that's the whole arrow thing. I think that you understand that pretty well. Here's an example where, okay, this is a good example too. So here a signal happens, but the arrow is not present. So it would not take this trade. Then wouldn't take here. Okay, then the arrow appears. So now it's the condition's ready. Now it would take that at the same time since the signal's open, or it still has 4 colors. Here would take the opposite. Here it would not take because the colors don't match. It would have to wait till this bar. So that's my hope for the arrow indicator. I'm not sure if in the end it'll be more profitable or not, but it is something that I sometimes pay attention to, and I think it's a good thing to test at least, which is why I would like it as an option and not as something that happens every time. So the matrix is still the indicator, or the trigger, but then there's the option of if the arrow is present or not. Um, Here's an example where you would take it here, and I guess that doesn't matter. Okay, so now that's that. I'm just going to make one big long video. I got 15 minutes on this free software I'm using. So that took about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, next thing I want to talk about was the stop out, which we've just been working at today. The re-entries, stopping out and then re-entering, I realize it's a hard thing because it's not always best to re-enter, but you can't tell the EA when to, just can't know. So here's an example where, say you had a trailing stop, for example, and it went up to here and it trailed, and then this candle caused you to get stopped out. So here's the 2-bar re-entry, and so it would re-enter on this candle here, but that's kind of the end of the run. But that's how it would look, I guess. It's not the best time for it to re-enter, but that's when it would re-enter. I'm not sure if 2 or 3 is better for the colors down here. I'm not sure. It's really depends on the situation. I guess that's what I can't be sure of. Here's an example, another example where, say you had a trailing stop, or somehow it set the limit to here. It got stopped out with these 3 colors. but then this happened here. That'd be a really good instance of where you would want it to re-enter. So that would be the hope for the re-entry, and that would happen. Let's see if I can find some other good ones. Obviously, there'd be a like something like this where nothing is happening. You wouldn't want it to. I guess yeah, you just program it so it only resets with stop out. Okay, so that's fine. Let's see if we got. Here's another instance with the 2. Say it's it stopped you out because it went way down here. Your trailing stopped, and it went back up, stopped you out. Getting back in here wouldn't be a bad idea. Obviously, it's not always gonna be profitable, but I think that's it for the trailing stop or getting back in re-entry. So yeah, two bars would be good. 2 color changes, I mean, or 3, either or. So I guess you could just program to say 2 or more, or whatever you want to do. I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. Let's see. In regards to the pivots, which I have on the chart here, just I think you understand it's pretty simple. I know you haven't programmed it yet, but for the condition that it only takes trades below the daily pivot, here's would be the daily pivot P day, pretty simple. So if the close, let's see, so here's an example where it would not take this trade because it's below the daily pivot, because the chances of resistance here are pretty good. Then when you came here, it would take this trade because it's below the pivot. And then once it took that trade below the pivot, then it would not set stop loss or break even at the pivot at all. That usually doesn't work out for the best. What you would want, and actually here's another good example. So say a lot of times I put a 10 to 20 pip stop loss and also break even. So here it would happen where it would have went plus 10 or plus 20 and then got stopped back out. And then, oh, look at here, good re-entry time, good example of when to get back in. Actually, I wouldn't have got back in here if I was manually trading, but I would have got back in down here. Anyway, either or, it doesn't matter. So then the setting a take profit at the support 1, which we had talked about, and this time it works perfectly a lot, but and then it takes profit at this level. So that's kind of a good example of multiple things at work here, where the take profit is at the support, you're only taking a trade when it's below the daily pivot, and then there's the re-entry example as well. So then let's keep going here. This is a new computer actually. It's kind of slow. Oh, it's because we're at this is today. I just realized. Let's get a different example here. So here's an example where we're below the daily pivot. So it would be taking these red trades. Obviously, they wouldn't be very good ones. It would not be taking these blue trades. It would not be taking any of these. It would not take. Now it gets above the daily pivot, but we don't want it to take that because it's too far into the trade. So I guess it'd be important to make sure it's coded so that it only takes a trade if it's the beginning of a signal, not the middle of a signal. I think that's pretty easy to do and pretty intuitive. So here's the one trade. Once it gets back down below, it would again take this trade, and it wouldn't have been super profitable. At least it wouldn't have lost on it. Let's get a different example here. Here's another. I think I already covered this, but here's an example where it would not take this trade, although would have been profitable because it's above the daily pivot. Get off there, and so then no more trades, and then it would have taken this trade though, which is a very good trade. We're taking that trade in real life as well. There's a re-entry signal if you got stopped out, or if you didn't get stopped out. Well, there wouldn't have been an entry, I guess, if you're using the pivot. So yeah, and then the take profit would have been, if we wanted to do that, it would have been at the S1 again. Obviously, it would, in this instance, it would have been better to not have that take profit, but you never know that. Let's look at this one here. What do we have? So for this day, we would be taking this trade. It's below the daily pivot. The signal of the closed candle appears. Take profit would be down at S1. We wouldn't have hit that, so we probably would have got stopped out. Then the next signal does occur at above the daily pivot, so we would take that. If we were doing the take profit at R1, it would be there. Now, that's why, this is an example of why it's important to have the potential for the take profits and things at R1s and S1s and R2s, etc. be an option, because it's not always best, as you can see from this example, to get out. So it's something that we would have to test to see what's best. I mean, I often use it in my real trading, and I base it off candles, on how the candles look. Obviously, you can't do that with the EA, at least not that I know of very well. So you could get set to get out at R1, or if you thought it was good, you could set it to get out at R2 or whatever, or not use it at all. So say it did get out at R1, well then it keeps going. So then what? So then what should we do? Should we just stay out? Yes, we should probably stay out. And then this next candle, you could go for a re-entry. Now it wouldn't be a very good re-entry because it's up so high and it's getting towards R3. But say the computer couldn't discriminate, so then it would get in here, and then the next take profit would be right at R3, which would have been a good take profit. It wouldn't have been a very high probability trade, but you can't always do that with the EAs. So that's that. Let me know if you want me to make a video of anything else to explain things. I know maybe I talk fast in English. I'm not sure how good your comprehension is of English when people are talking. Um, so just let me know if I talk way too fast for you and you need me to type things instead. Um, I wish this went back farther, but it doesn't. So hopefully this works. I'll post this to YouTube, send you the link. I know you're sleeping. We're 12 hours off on our schedules, which isn't very convenient for either of us. But hopefully we can get this working perfectly, and I'm pretty confident that we can. I think that things have been going well enough that there should be no reason why we can't finish the project. So I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.